Hey, welcome to project number 9, and this is we're going to be painting today. Isn't that gorgeous? Alright, so let us have a look at the colors. There isn't a lot again, so it's just starting with transparent yellow, transparent orange, transparent brown, paint gray, cobalt blue, and literally some whitewash. That's it. You can add a little bit of cadmium yellow if you want, but that's completely optional. So if you're ready, let's get started with this one. Alright, let us start. So we'll first start with the horizon line. So again, around 1/3, just below the... Alright, let us start. So we'll first start with the horizon line. So again, around 1/3, just below the halfway. So there you go. That's where my horizon line will be. And we will start painting, okay? So we're going to apply water to the whole of our paper again. So make sure that you apply water to the whole of the paper nicely, because again, we have a nice wet on wet technique to add on to our paper, okay? So here you go, applying to the whole of the paper. Make sure you cover it up nicely and evenly on the whole, giving an angle on my paper to make sure that it's nice and even. Okay, there you go. Now I will absorb the excess water, all the excess water from the edges. All right, and now we can start painting. So here, just grabbing my size 8 brush, and I will start with a nice transparent yellow shade. I'm going to put it right there in that middle region. So this is where my sun is going to be. So that's why I'm putting it down there. And then we'll have some colors over at that region as well. Then maybe a little bit of the queen gold, because it'll give us that golden glow as well. But honestly, if you paint it as a very lighter tone, it's going to look like yellow itself. So that's why I sometimes prefer to use the queen gold rather than any other colors. Okay, there you go. That's the yellow bit added. Now we'll go with orange. So that's going to be a nice amount of transparent orange. And there you go. I pick up that orange and I'm going to go apply it at the part where it's the horizon line joining onto the yellow. So at this bottom region, I'm going to get rid of all the white. Okay, only at the bottom. Honestly speaking, I think in this painting we don't need much of the white strokes, so there you go, but leave that yellow there because that's where our sun is going to be. Okay, so grabbing my orange, now I'm going to stuff it into the areas in between my yellow to reveal out to take out all of those white strokes. Okay, there you go. Got here as well, and over on this side. Okay, now we've taken out all of the nice white strokes. Okay, but we actually need to soften it out a little bit because we're going to start applying blue there. Okay, and the blue that we're going to be using, cobalt blue. And why? We've discussed this a lot of times, because cobalt blue doesn't mix to form intense greens. That's how I like to call it. Okay, so if your paper has started to dry off, make sure you just go and wet them. So see, this region had started to dry off, but I didn't want it to dry off, and I also didn't want color over that region. So instead I just applied a teeny tiny amount of water. See that? So just start blending and adding random strokes. Okay, see? So this is where you want. I want some nice denser strokes here towards the top. All right, now there's a clear separation in the sky, but that doesn't look good, does it? So we need to take out that clear separation, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab some paint gray, but make sure that your brush doesn't have too much water now because your sky has started to dry off. Okay, so now I'm just going to put my paint gray, and you will notice that as you put your paint gray over on top of the orange, it starts to form like a brown shade, which is okay. And when you take it upward, it's a very, very different gray tone. So that's the beauty, and that's the reason why instead of using black, I actually use paint gray. Okay, so just gonna drop in some nice small cloudy shapes over to the left here. Okay, and this is where also you can add it to the areas where you have the joint. Okay, and here we left some nice white regions, and I want to have the clouds over there as well, and a bit over to the side. So make sure that your brush does not have too much water, especially if your paper is starting to dry out. That's very, very important, like I always say. Okay, and you can clearly see how we're getting nice strokes now, just making a lot of clouds into the sky there. Okay, there you go, that's done now. And now the next part is I want to add in a little bit more of denser clouds. So for that, I'm grabbing my transparent brown and I'm going to mix it up with the transparent orange that we did earlier, so that we get like a more of a golden brown shade. Okay, and we're going to use that to create some denser clouds towards this bottom region. Okay, and I can see that my paper is like literally started to dry up, but then it's still got that softness. It is coming as soft because I'm using very, very dry brush for this purpose. If your brush even has a little bit of water, then it's going to spread and create blooms on the paper, but if it doesn't, then you will get these nice clouds. Okay, there you go, that's some nice clouds. Extend some of these clouds over to here. That's perfect. Still that golden shade, and I also don't have too much water. If you have too much water, then this technique won't work. But now you can see we've got that nice gorgeous sky in there, and that's our background layer. Honestly speaking, we could continue painting towards the bottom, but because I want to create a separation there at the part where it's joining the horizon, I will dry this up. All right, here you go, it's completely dried up, and here at this point I want to show you something. So see how there's a little bit of pigment spread over there. I think there might have been some excess water over here on the tape, and it's just run back into the paper and created this. So this is what I usually call as background or cauliflower effect. In this painting though, however, it looks like a cloud, and we can pass it over as a cloud, so it's not much damage, but this is what could happen potentially. Just remember, just imagine if that were to happen somewhere here on another part of your painting. It wouldn't be nice, isn't it? And that's the reason why I say that probably you have to always make sure that you remove the excess water from the edges. And I don't know, I did, but I think there was still some left behind. Nothing to do there. Okay, so now I'm going to apply towards the bottom part. So I'm just giving an angle on my paper just to make sure that it doesn't flow back up. Okay, so that's why I've lifted my board, and now I'm going to apply water right up to that horizon line. Okay, and now anything excess water will always flow down, and I will make sure this time to absorb that excess water from the bottom. Okay, there you go, I've absorbed that excess water from the bottom, and now we can start again. All right, and this time, okay, very, very careful. So just gonna go with an orange shade because that's what we've got at the sky over there, but our bottom part orange can be denser. Okay, there. So just I've lifted the board again so that when I apply my orange, it literally flows down. nice orange. So what we are going to do for the bottom part here is we're going to apply orange to the whole of the bottom part. So if you have a very large flat brush that could easily cover up that, it would be really helpful at this point, I guess. Okay, so go ahead, grab your orange very densely and just cover it up, because this is the water area. We don't want any light strokes or the blue. We're not creating like a perfect reflection. It's absolutely fine. We're just going to create some waves. We have not covered waves in detail in this class over yet, so I thought, why not? Let's do a little bit of the waves in this one. Okay, so there you go. That's a very flat wash, flat orange wash, and now it's time for the waves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my size 6 brush, because I'd like the waves at the top to be a bit smaller. So there you go. That's my size 6 brush, and you need your paper to be wet if you're going to be doing the waves. Okay, so we'll start with the larger ones first, because it's okay even if they spread out, but the smaller ones, they shouldn't spread out a lot. And when I mean spread out, your paper is not too wet, so you do not want that to spread out a lot. So this is the reason why you can do the larger ones first. So the larger ones are the ones that are the very base. Okay, so starting with a tray, and I am applying over at the base. But see how that's turned like into a little bit of a brown when it lightens up. Okay, so we need to create that at an angle. And now as we approach towards the top, that's where we're trying to create the waves. Okay, so you're going to have to press your brush, use the entire length of your brush, and you're going to do just to press your brush at random. That's how we create waves. Okay, and then as you go towards the top, you want to decrease the length. Okay, let's do it over to this side as well, and I'm just going to create like some few lines now as I approach towards the top. So this is why I said that I want my paper to be less wet towards when I start painting this top region. Okay, now over to the top, I will paint again, but then I'm just drawing some random lines. Okay, because towards the top you'll only see lines and not the deep waves in detail as such. Okay, okay, see, that's a lot of nice waves added, isn't it? Okay, there you go. I'm already loving the way it has turned out nicely. So if you see a lot of backgrounds, or like if it's spreading out too much, just grab the orange again and go in between. See? Okay, so I'm just grabbing the orange because I would like to add a denser orange to the bottom part there and to the bottom part there. Okay, so those lines that we added at the further end is gone, because I think my paper was like still too wet for that purpose, so maybe I should go ahead and add them again. There you go, some nice strokes added. I mean, we could possibly also do some wet on dry strokes. Let's see. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this up so that we can finish off soon. Okay, all right, there you go. It's dried now, and like I said, maybe a little bit of some wet on dry strokes might also do. So I'm just grabbing my Payne's Gray, just going to add some larger ones towards, not larger, but you know, like wet on dry ones over to the back there. So just a little bit, just a few lines. Do not add too much, okay, else it will not look good. Okay, just making sure that some of the edges are covered nicely, and there you go, that's actually done. So now the only thing left for us to do is to actually paint that little sun. Okay, so grabbing my white to put that sun there. Okay, you can also go for fresh gouache white. This is dried up paint, but honestly I don't mind. There you go, and then a teeny tiny circle there at the bottom. Okay, and then what you're going to do is we're going to make that circle and the reflection come down a bit. So I'm just mixing it up with a little bit of yellow because we've got some nice yellow strokes there. So first we need to capture the yellow, not too much, see, just a teeny tiny amount. And just gonna grab the white again. I want that white to have a little teeny tiny touch of yellow. That's why I added that. Also, you do not need too much of the white or a lot of strokes because the sun is literally so tiny here. Okay, so we don't need much. Okay, and do not add to any of the black areas. Okay, only to the orange areas, and see, that's it. That's more than enough for what we want to capture. And now we can finish off with the birds. And the birds, they're easy, right? We've done this so many times. Yes, but today's birds, we're going to actually create a pattern in those birds, you know, like how the birds fly in different patterns. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to start at the horizon. So those birds at the horizon, they need to be really teeny tiny. And as they move away from the horizon, and that's when they become bigger. Okay, so there at the horizon, just teeny tiny. You can't even see, I literally put a speck there. Okay, I'm just adding. They're starting at the horizon. All right, and then you're gonna go ahead and create bend in the way they fly. Okay, now they're starting to get bigger. You can see that. Getting bigger, and they're in a pattern, and this pattern is gonna like flow towards that side. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And as you come closer towards the horizon, you can also increase the gap between them. They don't need to be as close and clustered together. Getting bigger, you can see that. So now we've added the pattern, but now we need some strays. Always happens. There will always be some birds which, you know, wanders off from the pattern. Okay, there you go. Okay, I just like to make that pattern a bit more evident. Seeing that I've got lots of time left, so I'm just making that more better. What are they even doing flying from the sun? It's actually not flying from the sun. They're probably just, you know, they were just like that coming off on top of the water, and then they just turned. Possibly that's just what's happened. Okay, I think that's more than enough. We've covered a lot and added in the birds, and honestly speaking, there you go. That's all to this painting. It's done. That was really quick, isn't it? So let's go ahead and remove the tape. And there you go. Here's the finished painting and how it looks after it's been completely dried up. Isn't that gorgeous? I think I'm in love with this, orange, blue and paint spray combination always. And I also love how the yellow is peeping out at certain places. Okay, so here you go. And I will see you in the next day. Thank you so much for joining me today.